Welcome to Miss Scarlett. Subscribe and don't miss out on Patreon. Have fun! The sun struggled to break through the gloomy Tuesday sky as an unfamiliar parcel awaited him on the porch. A pair of unassuming boxes bearing his mother's name, scrawled hastily in marker. With a swift run of his fingers through his hair, he brought the packages inside, their contents a mystery. "Hey, Mom. Some packages arrived addressed to you," he said as he placed the boxes gently on the living room floor. His curiosity piqued. His mother, busy in the heart of the home, the kitchen, wiped her hands on a towel and emerged, a figure of matriarchal warmth. "Indeed they are, from Patricia, dear friend that she is. Her daughter's relocation to London post-wedding has inspired a room makeover, and, I suspect, a trip down memory lane." She gestured with a smile. "Likely filled with clothing, these boxes, ready for a new home and a new start. Would you mind going through them, Xander? See if anything's worth keeping before I drop them off?" Xander nodded absently, already lifting the lid on the first box. He didn't have anything better to do anyway. The afternoon stretched empty before him. Another day of job searching, yielding nothing but automated rejection emails. At 32, moving back in with his mother after his apartment lease ended wasn't exactly the pinnacle of success. Later that evening, after his mother had gone to bed, Xander returned to the boxes. He'd given them a cursory glance earlier, but something about the contents had stirred something inside him, a feeling he'd spent years pushing away. Now, in the quiet of the living room, he carefully removed the items one by one. A red plaid skirt with neat pleats, several white blouses with delicate pearl buttons, a powder blue sundress. Each piece stirred something inside him that he couldn't quite name. His fingers lingered on a lavender sweater dress, the material soft against his skin. Before he could stop himself, he held it up against his chest, feeling the weight of it. His heart hammered in his chest as he looked around the empty room. His mother was asleep. No one would know. In the bathroom, he stripped down to his boxers and carefully pulled the lavender dress over his head. It slid down his body, fitting surprisingly well across his shoulders, loose in some places, but not ridiculous. His breath caught as he fully faced the mirror. The person staring back at him looked right. The lavender color complemented his skin tone, and the dress draped nicely over his lean frame. Something long dormant awakened inside him, a recognition so powerful he had to grip the sink to steady himself. This wasn't the first time. There had been moments throughout his life, trying on his mother's shoes as a child before being scolded, envying the soft fabrics in the women's section while shopping for practical men's clothes, dreams where he moved through the world differently. But he'd buried those feelings, convinced himself they were nothing. Now, alone in the bathroom with the lavender dress hugging his body, he couldn't deny it anymore. He slept poorly that night, his mind racing with possibilities and fears. By morning, he'd made a decision. After his mother left for work, he spent hours researching online, reading stories from people whose experiences resonated with his own, people who had taken steps he'd never allowed himself to consider. The following week, a small package arrived addressed to him. He'd used a portion of his dwindling savings to order a few items: a simple A-line skirt in navy blue, a cream-colored blouse, and basic makeup. Nothing flashy, just enough to explore the feelings that had resurfaced. Each night after his mother went to bed, Xander would transform. He learned to apply mascara and lip gloss from online tutorials, practiced walking differently, and found himself smiling genuinely at his reflection for the first time in years. But it wasn't enough. The clothes from Patricia's daughter went to donation as promised, but Xander's secret collection grew. A month into his private exploration, he received a text from Anya, a college friend who had moved back to town recently. She wanted to catch up over coffee, and despite his anxiety about socializing while harboring such a significant secret, he agreed. They met at a quiet cafe downtown, tucked away in a corner booth. Anya looked exactly as he remembered, confident, with quick eyes that missed nothing. "You look different," she said immediately, studying his face across the table. Xander fidgeted with his coffee cup. "Different how?" "I don't know. Lighter, maybe? Less weighed down?" She tilted her head. "But also nervous as hell. What's going on with you?" Perhaps it was her directness, or the fact that she'd always been the most accepting person he knew, but the words tumbled out before he could stop them. "I've been trying things, wearing things. Women's clothes." The silence between them stretched only for a moment before Anya reached across the table and squeezed his hand. "And how does that make you feel?" "Like I can finally breathe." His voice cracked on the last word. Their coffee grew cold as Xander explained everything. The boxes, the lavender dress, the nights spent discovering parts of himself he'd kept locked away. Anya listened without judgment, asking questions that helped him articulate feelings he was still learning to name. "Have you thought about a name?" she asked finally. "Something that feels right when you're dressed that way?" He hadn't, not consciously, but a name rose to his lips immediately. "Zoe." Anya smiled. "Zoe? I like it." With Anya's support, Xander, who increasingly thought of himself as Zoe when dressed, began taking small steps outside the confines of the bathroom mirror, first wearing clear nail polish and growing out his brown hair, then wearing women's jeans that looked similar enough to men's styles that his mother didn't notice. Subtle changes that gave him courage. 3 months after the boxes arrived, Anya invited him to her apartment for dinner. "Bring whatever makes you comfortable," she said. "My place is a safe space." That night, for the first time, someone else saw Zoe. She arrived at Anya's wearing the navy skirt, cream blouse, and a cardigan, hair styled as femininely as its growing length allowed, light makeup enhancing her features. Her hands trembled as Anya opened the door. "You look beautiful," Anya said simply, ushering her inside. Over pasta and wine, they talked about next steps. Anya had done research of her own and connected with resources in their city. "If this is who you are," she said, refilling their glasses, "there are people who can help you transition in whatever way feels right." "Transition," Zoe repeated, the word both frightening and exhilarating. "My mother doesn't even know I've been wearing women's clothes, let alone that I might want to." "You don't have to figure it all out tonight," Anya assured her. "But you don't have to do it alone, either." Returning home that night, still dressed as Xander, felt like putting on an ill-fitting costume. The brief freedom of being Zoe had illuminated how constricted he felt in his male presentation. Something needed to change. The conversation with his mother happened sooner than planned. She found a receipt for a dress while doing laundry and confronted him in the kitchen, confusion evident in her eyes. "Is there someone you're not telling me about?" she asked, holding up the crumpled paper. "A girlfriend?" His throat went dry. "No, Mom. It's for me." The silence that followed seemed endless. His mother's expression shifted from confusion to shock to something unreadable. "I don't understand," she finally said. "I'm figuring things out," he managed, hands gripping the counter behind him. "But I think I might be transgender." The word hung between them, heavy with implications. His mother sat down at the kitchen table, staring at nothing. "How long have you known?" "I've felt different my whole life," he answered honestly. "But I only started to understand recently. Those boxes from Patricia, they helped me realize some things." His mother looked up, tears forming. "And this is certain? This it's not just anything, Mom. It's who I am." The weeks that followed were difficult. His mother vacillated between supportive gestures and painful silences. She tried using the name Zoe at home, but often slipped back to Xander. She helped purchase a few appropriate outfits, but struggled to look directly at Zoe when she wore them. It was progress mixed with heartache. Anya remained a steadfast ally, accompanying Zoe to her first appointment with a gender therapist, helping her navigate the complicated process of coming out to friends, and providing sanctuary when tensions at home became too much. 6 months after discovering the lavender dress, Zoe began hormone therapy. The changes were subtle at first. Softer skin, slight shifts in fat distribution. Her brown hair, now past her shoulders, framed her face differently. Each small transformation felt like a step toward alignment, like the world was finally coming into focus. At Anya's encouragement, Zoe applied for remote work positions, securing a job as a content writer that allowed her to work from home during the early stages of her transition. The income gave her independence and eased some of the tension with her mother, who seemed more accepting when she saw Zoe building a stable future. "I found some dresses that might work for you," her mother said one evening, almost a year after that first conversation in the kitchen. She pulled up an online shopping site on her tablet. "Nothing too young or flashy, but professional things you could wear for video calls." Zoe blinked back tears. "Thank you, Mom." Together, they ordered several items: a burgundy wrap dress, a navy sheath with subtle detailing, and a floral print maxi dress that Zoe immediately loved. When the packages arrived, her mother helped her try each piece on, making notes about alterations needed. Standing in the living room wearing the floral maxi dress, Zoe caught her reflection in the window. The person looking back, with growing curves, softer features, and shoulder-length brown hair, was finally becoming someone she recognized. "You look like my sister when she was young," her mother said quietly, adjusting the dress's belt. "She always had good posture, too." It was the first time her mother had connected Zoe to their family in her female identity, a subtle acknowledgement that meant everything. As her confidence grew, so did Zoe's world. With Anya's encouragement, she began venturing out more often, first to quiet restaurants and shops where they knew the staff, then to larger social gatherings. The floral maxi dress became her armor on days when dysphoria struck hardest. Wearing it, she felt most authentically herself. Not every experience was positive. There were stares, whispers, and occasional confrontations. An old high school acquaintance pointedly used her dead name at a coffee shop. A job interview that had been going well turned cold when the interviewer realized she was transgender. Her father, divorced from her mother for decades, refused to acknowledge her transition at all. But there were unexpected allies, too. The elderly neighbor who complimented her garden without missing a beat when introduced to Zoe rather than Xander. The barista who corrected customers who misgendered her. The distant cousin who reached out on social media to say he was proud of her courage. 2 years into her transition, Zoe stood in front of her closet, preparing for a milestone. Her first date since beginning to live as her authentic self. The lavender dress that had started everything was carefully preserved in a garment bag, a reminder of how far she'd come. but tonight called for something different. She chose the floral maxi dress, now tailored to fit her changing body perfectly. Her brown hair, grown well past her shoulders, was styled in loose waves. The face in the mirror was softer now, with fuller cheeks and brighter eyes. Hormone therapy had reshaped her in subtle, important ways, but the biggest transformation was invisible. The weight lifted from carrying a secret identity for so long. Anya arrived to help with final preparations, bringing earrings that complemented the dress. "Nervous?" she asked, watching Zoe apply lipstick with slightly unsteady hands. "Terrified," Zoe admitted. "What if he doesn't show? What if he does show and then realizes and leaves?" "Then he's not worth your time," Anya said firmly. "You've been talking for weeks. He knows who you are." The date was with someone she'd met through an online support group, a man named Christopher, who worked in graphic design and had specifically mentioned being open to dating transgender women. They'd moved from group discussions to private messages to video calls, each step increasing Zoe's hope that genuine connection was possible. They'd arranged to meet at a restaurant downtown, a place known for its inclusive atmosphere. Anya drove her there, squeezing her hand before she got out of the car. "Text me if you need rescue, or if it goes amazingly and you want to gloat." Zoe smoothed her floral dress and walked into the restaurant, scanning for Christopher's face. He stood when he saw her, smiling with genuine warmth that eased some of her anxiety. "You look even prettier in person," he said as she joined him at the table. "I love your dress." Dinner passed in a blur of conversation that flowed more easily than expected. Christopher asked thoughtful questions about her writing career, shared stories about his latest design projects, and made her laugh with tales of his disaster-prone roommate. Not once did he make her feel like a curiosity or a challenge. He treated her like a woman he was interested in getting to know better. When he walked her home afterward, their hands brushed against each other, then deliberately intertwined. Outside her door, he asked if he could see her again. Zoe agreed, happiness bubbling through her veins. Inside, her mother was waiting up, pretending to read a book. "Well?" she asked, setting the novel aside. "How was it?" "It was nice," Zoe said, unable to keep the smile from her face. "Really nice." Her mother patted the couch beside her. "Tell me everything." As Zoe recounted the evening, she realized how far they'd both come. The woman who had once struggled to look at her daughter now eagerly listened to details about her dating life, offering the same mix of enthusiasm and protective concern she would give any daughter. The relationship with Christopher developed slowly, thoughtfully. He integrated seamlessly into her world, winning over Anya with his genuine respect for Zoe and charming her mother with his old-fashioned courtesy. He was patient with the complexities of dating someone in transition, understanding on difficult dysphoria days, and celebratory during milestones. 3 years after finding the lavender dress, Zoe stood in front of a different mirror, in a different bathroom. Her own apartment now, a small but sunny place she'd decorated to reflect her personality. The floral maxi dress hung in her closet alongside newer acquisitions, still a favorite for important days. Today's outfit was new, a teal blouse with cap sleeves and fitted black trousers. Professional but feminine, perfect for the occasion. "You're going to crush this interview," Christopher said, appearing in the doorway. He straightened his own tie, preparing for his workday. "They'd be lucky to have you." The interview was for an editorial position at a progressive online magazine, a role that would utilize her writing skills and allow her to potentially help others through sharing diverse stories. It would also mean stepping further into public life, using her voice in a more visible way. What if they don't want someone like me representing them? The old fear surfaced despite her progress. Christopher's expression softened. Then it's their loss. But from everything you've told me about them, I think they're smarter than that. He kissed her forehead. Remember what you always say about authentic stories resonating? She nodded, touching her hair. Still the same rich brown, now styled in long layers that framed her face. After so many changes, her hair had remained a constant, something recognizably hers throughout the journey. I'm ready. The magazine offices were bright and modern, walls decorated with covers from past issues. The interviewer, a woman in her 40s with a quick smile, greeted Zoe warmly. Your writing samples impressed everyone on the team, she said after initial pleasantries. Particularly the personal essay about transformation. It was vulnerable without being sentimental, which is a difficult balance to strike. The essay had been Anya's suggestion, a piece about Zoe's journey, not focused on the physical aspects of transition, but on the emotional experience of becoming oneself. She'd submitted it with her application, despite her nervousness about being so open. Thank you, Zoe replied. It wasn't easy to write, but it felt important. That's exactly why we want voices like yours, the interviewer said. Authentic experiences told with skill and nuance. Too many publications treat certain stories as either taboo or sensationalized. We're trying to build something different. By the time she left the building, Zoe had a job offer. Walking home, she'd insisted on taking public transportation alone to prove to herself she could handle whatever came. She felt a profound sense of accomplishment, not just for securing the position, but for reaching a point where she could represent herself fully in a professional setting. That evening, Christopher surprised her with champagne to celebrate. Anya came over with cupcakes, and her mother arrived with flowers. The small party lasted late into the night, a celebration not just of the job, but of the journey. Later, after everyone had gone, and Christopher had fallen asleep, Zoe stood on her small balcony, looking out at the city lights. The path ahead still held challenges. There would be surgeries to consider, legal documents to update, and inevitably more moments of confrontation or misunderstanding. But there would also be mornings waking up feeling right in her skin, days writing stories that mattered, and nights surrounded by people who loved her for exactly who she was. 5 years after the day those boxes arrived on the porch, Zoe stood in a different kind of dress, white with delicate beading, simple but elegant. Her brown hair was arranged in an updo with small flowers woven through it. In the bridal suite mirror, she barely recognized herself, not because she looked different, but because she looked so perfectly like the woman she'd always been meant to be. Nervous? Anya asked, adjusting the final details of Zoe's makeup. As maid of honor, she'd taken her duties seriously, ensuring everything from the flowers to the music reflected the couple's tastes. Not about marrying Christopher, Zoe said honestly. Just about walking down the aisle with everyone watching.
They'll be watching because you're the bride and you look stunning,
Anya reminded her. Nothing more complicated than that. A knock at the door announced her mother, elegant in a silver dress she'd fretted over for weeks. It's almost time, she said, then paused, taking in the sight of her daughter. Oh, Zoe. Her eyes filled with tears. You're beautiful. The ceremony was small but meaningful, held in a garden with close friends and supportive family members. Christopher waited at the altar, his face lighting up as Zoe appeared. Her mother walked her down the aisle, a journey neither of them could have imagined years earlier when confronting each other in the kitchen. In her vows, Zoe thanked Christopher for seeing her completely from their first meeting, for making her feel normal and extraordinary simultaneously. "You never treated my journey as an obstacle," she said, voice clear despite her emotion. "You saw it as part of what made me who I am, someone worthy of love and respect." Christopher's vows spoke of admiration for her courage, gratitude for her patience with his occasional missteps, and promises to continue growing together. "When I pictured my future partner, I never had a specific image in mind," he said. "I just knew I wanted someone kind, intelligent, and authentic. You exceed every hope I had." The reception was joyous, filled with dancing and laughter. Zoe's floral maxi dress made an appearance. Anya had insisted she change into it for the dancing portion of the evening, a nod to its significance in her journey. Twirling across the dance floor in Christopher's arms, surrounded by people who accepted her, Zoe felt a completion of the circle that began with that lavender dress. Later, as the evening wound down, she found a moment alone with her mother, both of them watching the remaining guests enjoy the celebration. "I'm sorry it took me so long," her mother said quietly. "To understand, to see you." Zoe squeezed her hand. "We got here. That's what matters." "Yes," her mother agreed, looking at her daughter with clear eyes and an open heart. "We got here." Across the room, Christopher caught Zoe's eye and smiled. A private communication between partners who knew each other's histories and looked forward to creating a future together. Anya was telling a story that had a group of friends laughing, occasionally glancing over to include Zoe in the shared moment. In a quiet corner, nearly forgotten among the wedding gifts, sat a small box. Inside was the lavender dress, carefully preserved and given to Zoe that morning by her mother. "To remember where the journey began," the note had read, "and how far you've come." Zoe smoothed the skirt of her floral dress, feeling the fabric that had accompanied her through so many milestones. From those first tentative steps outside Anya's apartment to confident strides down her wedding aisle, the dress had been a constant in a life of transformation. She was still Zoe in this dress, still Zoe in her wedding gown, still Zoe in whatever she would wear tomorrow and all the days after. The clothes had been a beginning, not the destination. They had opened a door to authenticity that could never be closed again. Taking Christopher's offered hand, she rejoined the celebration, stepping confidently into the future as exactly who she was meant to be.
Thanks for watching, my girlies! Be sure to check out Patreon for more!